We packed up our campsite and got back into the rental car to drive toward the Gulf Coast of Florida. We were going to check out the coast here a little bit, and we had some time to kill before we were allowed to check into our hotel at Cedar Key. So we figured, why not explore a little bit of the nature coast? So we drove toward Steinhatchee, and we saw that there was a little park, and we were hoping to find a good spot to have lunch and soak in some of the sunshine while enjoying the interesting coastline of the Gulf side. We came down that rather long dirt road to this area of picnic pavilions right on the water. This would be a great spot to go kayaking. You could throw them in. There's a little observation tower. But we decided this is a great spot to have lunch because we have to kind of kill some time before we can check in anyway. It was the perfect area to have lunch. We had this shaded picnic table and a view of the water. Just past the last picnic pavilion there is a boat launch, so you can throw your kayak or boat in and do a little paddling. We checked out the observation tower before getting back into the rental car and starting the drive a little bit south toward the island of Cedar Key. And this was an area that we were pretty interested in driving through and just kind of checking out because this is some of the really nice rural areas of northern Florida with big pieces of land. And looking at this is probably not what most people expect from northern Florida, but there are some amazingly beautiful ranches and farms in this area. We were so happy that it actually looked like what we were picturing. But we were pretty excited to head over to the coast and get a little bit of time by the beach. We took the long road that heads toward Cedar Key, and that eventually turns into a causeway that brings you over the water. So it's an interesting drive just getting onto Cedar Key. And it kind of reminds us a little bit of the trip going to Key West, but much less busy, not as many tourists, not as much crowds. So that's usually what we're looking for. The place that has a bit of charm and interest, but doesn't have all the tourism and the crowds yet. We heard about Cedar Key when we were watching another YouTube video several years ago, and I have a habit of tagging things on my Google Maps if I see something that I think, hey, we would like to visit that at some point in the future. And then when I'm planning a trip, I pull up my Google Maps and I look for all the things in the area that I've flagged and see if we could stop at any of those places. And that's actually how I planned a lot of this trip. I just looked at the pins that I left on my map and it worked out really well. Pretty cute houses. Yeah. Very, shore vibes. Mm-hmm. Riding around in your golf cart. As we got onto Cedar Key, we immediately knew that we liked this place. Lots of charming houses, everything is very close to the water and very walkable. Low clearance for this tree. 11 feet. Looks like it's been scraped a few times.
Your destination is on the right.
We are in 9.
Should I pull in? Go around.
Yeah, go around. Let me just take a look. I booked us a little room at this place called the Faraway Inn. I found this and I was very interested because they have kayak and canoe rentals and it's like little individual bungalows. The ones that we were staying in were connected on one side, but we had an end unit, so we had just a tiny little view of the water. But these are the places that I love to stay in. If we're not camping, these places that have some charm, they're not too fancy, but you have all the things you need. Yeah, there is a little bit of a water view. A little hard to see. My favorite part of the view was actually this banana flower outside our window. That was my favorite thing to watch every day. Coffee maker, you want coffee? Yeah, okay. We got settled into our little room, and then we decided to take a walk to the downtown area with the restaurants, and it was just in time for sunset, so people were starting to gather across the street. It's starting to rain. Nope. Maybe that's why everyone left. Alright. Did not bring my raincoat. Even have the big trees on the island. Surprised. A neat thing about Cedar Key is that you don't see a lot of cars. A lot of people are walking around, and you do see a lot of golf carts. That's kind of the preferred way of getting from place to place, which makes it feel very quiet and relaxed. Yeah, this is the part that I remember seeing on videos, like this little downtown area. But that's nice, we can walk to it in like 10 minutes. Yeah, no, it's nice.
You wanna go up here?
And it looks like parking's a little tricky up there. Yeah, you can check this out.
I wouldn't recommend it. Don't pick up yourself.
Don't drop the camera.
Like each individual.
They have this large fishing pier, and there were actually several people out here doing some fishing at sunset. No camping. It's neat, a lot of the buildings are like on piers.
Yeah.
Right on the water. Oh, that's kind of like our spot.
Yeah.
It's neat.
I would sometimes like to be outside of where it's happening and then just walk in.
Yeah.
Instead
So
of
it's not
being
too
in it.
busy. It's easier to park where we are,
Yeah.
too. The downtown area of Cedar Key is this small strip of stores and restaurants and bars. A lot of them have outdoor seating where you get this great view of the water. You can walk out and go onto the deck, which we always love an opportunity to be able to eat a meal outside. And there's, of course, lots of seafood. You like seafood?
I suppose, yeah.
I guess. I don't know. We were going to eat at Steamers, but then we found out that the restaurant next door was going to be closed tomorrow night. That was the one that we actually wanted to eat at for Patrick's birthday. So we did a little switch. We decided to eat at this restaurant first and save Steamers for tomorrow. And I'm glad we did, because at 83 West we went downstairs to the less formal dining area, and it was so good. It looks great.
Yeah, very good.
Good selection. We really enjoyed our meal here, and we stayed for some drinks because we were also enjoying the atmosphere. That's an open area that looks out onto the water, and we couldn't catch it on camera very well, but it was a full moon and it was reflecting on the top of the ocean, and it was just so beautiful. There was this perfect breeze. It made for a wonderful pre-birthday celebration. Then we took the short walk back to our little hotel room, and we wanted to get some rest because tomorrow we were going to have a full day of being able to explore Cedar Key. Our trip to Florida had been full of surprises, and we didn't know it yet, but there was one more in store for us. So today's another gorgeous day in Florida, and today's Patrick's birthday. So it's the last full day of our trip, and the sun is out and it's beautiful and warm. So we're going to try to see what kind of fun things we can get up to in Cedar Key today. We are flying out tomorrow, or maybe I should say we're supposed to fly out tomorrow, because we are tracking a hurricane. And November is really supposed to be kind of the end of hurricane season, and we were hoping to squeeze in here during the dry season and when there's less chance of having tropical storms and things. And I was reading last night that there's only 2 other named hurricanes that actually have hit the coast of Florida in November. So this will be the 3rd. And from what we're looking at right now, it's coming across central Florida. And we're supposed to fly out of Tampa at 6:55 tomorrow. And the projected model that I was looking at was that it was supposed to hit Tampa at 7 p.m. tomorrow. So literally the exact time that we're supposed to be flying out. So I don't know, we've really never had this situation happen before, and it's like the timing is just ridiculous. So we have no idea if our flight is actually going to get canceled or what. We might end up stuck in Florida, which is going to be interesting because I'm supposed to be at work Thursday. So we will see what happens. But there's really nothing we can do about it right now. We're just kind of keeping an eye on the weather, and I keep checking my email to see if Spirit is sending me anything, if they're going to change the flight, or I don't know. I don't know what they do in these situations, especially because, you know, with hurricanes, you're kind of like waiting to see if it's going to go up or down, or the hope is that maybe it's going to slow down a little bit so that it'll hit more on Thursday and we'll be out of here by Thursday. That's kind of what we're hoping for, so that we can actually, you know, get on our flight. But we will see. This is the challenge with Florida. It's kind of one of those things you have to accept if you're gonna be here. We had no idea what was going to happen with the weather, but we were determined to make the most of our day and try to enjoy.
Oh, butterflies. Look at them all. Jeez.
This was Patrick's birthday, so we started out by taking our coffee down to the water, and we sat at the little pavilion and watched the birds and the clouds go by. Not a bad way to start the day. Now, one of the great things about this hotel that we were staying at is that when you're staying there, you can rent bikes and kayaks and all sorts of things from them. We were really hoping to do some kayaking, but it was too windy because of the storm coming in, so we decided to walk around instead. One of my favorite parts about staying here are the beautiful gardens that they have in between each of the cottages. We would walk out our front door and there would just be 10 or 15 butterflies flying all over the place. And here's that banana flower that is right outside our window. Every day I would watch a new petal open and the little flowers underneath come out, and then they would drop down onto the ground, and the next day another petal would open. It was so nice to be surrounded by all of this greenery, all of the color, the bees, the butterflies, just so much life here. We grabbed some water and put on our sun shirts and then started to walk toward downtown, and as usual, we really didn't have a plan. We were just going to wander and see what looked interesting, see what direction we felt like walking in and exploring. I'm sure it's always windy here, but I feel like the wind is starting to pick up a little bit more. Yeah. That's why I'm thinking no kayaking today, as much as I was hoping we would get to go kayaking. I don't think it's a good day. We've learned our lesson with that before. That is where we ate last night. It was great. One of the better meals we've had. Just past the restaurants of downtown, there's a dock area, and they have a lot of charter boats that you can get here if you want to go fishing or just go for a sightseeing ride. They weren't going out today because the weather was changing. Cedar Key is the main town, and it's a 200-year-old waterfront village that's located on a series of islands that are the Cedar Keys. But the location out in the Gulf of Mexico makes it a great area for seafood, and specifically they have a strong aquaculture industry here where they cultivate oysters and clams. So it's part of the Big Bend Shellfish Trail, so if you really like seafood, this is a great place to come. There's a sign back there that told you all this stuff that was on the mussel boats. I didn't really read it though. Or clams. Are they clams or mussels? Both. We're doing our usual wander around and see what you find. Oh, that's what the little green things are. They're the pods from these. Okay. We're just wandering around town. We came across this little boardwalk toward the back of the island, so it's just one of those days where we're going to walk around and kind of see what we stumble upon. We got to explore the area where a lot of the local working fishing boats were going in and out, and they store their gear. And this was like a little preview of the meal that we were going to have later. I believe it is still pretty close to low tide. Oh, watch your step. So there's a lot of mud flats and little crabs running around. We made our way around the island and headed back toward the downtown area. Unfortunately, the museum was closed this day, so we didn't get to check that out. But we decided to continue walking around to the other side of the island. There's an old cemetery there and some great places for bird watching. And then we were going to head back to our room and get ready to go out for a great dinner for Patrick's birthday. So we will see you in the next one with lots more exploring to do on the beautiful island of Cedar Key.
Well, you worried about you and me, the injustice, the next president to be, the news and what you hear, your career. It's time for you to face those fears, and it's all fair to be aware, and I'll be there. So don't be scared. Just take a deep breath of air. And 1, 2, 3 to 10, you begin to focus again, and no time flies.